Come with me as I share my thrilling experience of winning my first Trial by Frost draft. From the initial excitement to the final triumph, I'm going to take you through my processes and key decisions that led to my victory. If you're a fan of Altered or you're just looking for some tips, this video is for you. Hey everybody, welcome to Decks and Bites. Today we're going to be going over a recent draft that I did at a local game store. This is the first draft that I was a part of after the release of Trial by Frost. I ended up taking first and going undefeated in this draft. I just kind of wanted to talk through my picks, my mindset, and kind of show you the cards that I received and the deck that I built from the cards that I got. So pretty early on, I decided that I was going to do the Basira and Kazumon hero. While in draft, you don't necessarily need a hero. I wanted to because I wanted to have a card that I could put out there where I wouldn't have to pay in order to play it. And I think that that's a big advantage if you can get a hero that works. And so because of this ability where if a card gets boosted, then I can tap my hero and get another boost. So I wanted to focus on cards that would first have boost, or they would trigger another effect. And then lastly, it was support cards. So if you see this one, as far as with this, where if I'm behind, I get a token. And then right here, I can create a token. Same thing, create a token, create a token. So I'm focusing on boosting, number one. Number two, I'm focusing on trying to have cards that counteract with each other. And then lastly, support cards. And I also wanted it to be low cost. I didn't want to have a lot of high costing cards where if I got into a situation, I would have to pay a lot or wait till late game to be able to play them. So if we look at the first card here, it's Garage. And when he gains fleeting, I gain one boost. So when he gains fleeting, he gets boosted. Same thing with this. When I gain fleeting, I get one boost. So just any time that fleeting is given, then it's one boosted. Now, when you combine that with Archelon Milk, where when a character joins the expedition, it gains one boost in fleeting. So you play this, and then then you play this next to it, and now he has fleeting and he's boosted from this and boosted from this. And because he got boosted, now I can tap that and get another boost. So as you can see, with this already being a 3/3 and being able to play early, that is a huge advantage. And I use that in a lot of my matches where I would try to get the counter of always thinking a couple turns in advance of, okay, if I get him, with only running one of these in the deck, that was the only disadvantage. I didn't have the opportunity to get more of them, or I would have selected those. I also had Yeti, where if there's a character join the expedition, it gains one boost. So again, if you get Yeti and Ordis Overseer, and now this gets boosted and you create a token, especially if you are behind, then that's another advantage. And so if you see over here, same thing. Hound, if you're behind, get one boost. With this, it's if you control a fleeting character, I gain one boost. So yeah, again, if you stack it with this, and then you get this, and then that triggers this. And if you can tell a theme here, I'm trying for all of my cards to work together to where I have a lot of options. And I think that's the benefit of this game over maybe some of the other TCGs is that there's a lot of combination. While even in this format where there's a draft, you can get a lot of cards that trigger amongst each other. So, I mean, we take this right here, Night Warden, and then we go here and get Hypothermia, where I can put choose a character they control gains a sleep. When I gain a sleep, I gain one boost. So I'm going to put it to sleep. It's going to gain a boost. And then by getting the boost, I can then trigger another ability. Same thing with this Silent Night, where obviously you got to roll, but if you roll the right number, then that allows for that. Then you have this card where, yet again, say target character gains 1 boost. So as you can see, a continuous theme of I'm trying to boost cards, I'm trying to counteract cards, I'm trying to work with cards together, and that worked really well for me. There was a couple matches that I played where I was able to get my hero in a really good position for a lead over their hero. So on the track, there was a couple games where I was 3, 4 spots ahead simply due to the fact that it could have been just, them not drawing the right cards or not having the right counters. But this is just a really fast deck. And I think in draft, that's what you're going for. You want something that's fast and that works together and that has options so that no matter what you draw and no matter what cards you're kind of stuck with, you have options. Because there was a lot of times where the person I was playing against, they only had one option, and that was the only possibility play that they could have made. And one of the things that I also kind of shot for was this over here, which was the Snow Maiden. And when you have these type of numbers at such a low cost of 4, where I could play this turn 2, to me, that was another thing that I was looking at. I'm going to pay 4 mana and I'm going to get a very strong card to be able to play in one of the lanes. My mindset is if I needed it, it was there. And this card actually won me a match where the person understood this was in my reserve. The person kept on exhausting it and using all their resources to exhaust it because they knew they couldn't counter it, which pulled away, so it allowed me to win the other lane. So while one lane, they were using resources to kind of block me from getting both lanes, I kept on winning the one lane. So you have to have a mix. Obviously you want a lot of cards that communicate with each other and can be counteractive with each other. But then on top of that, you also want to be able to have cards that have some higher numbers, especially in draft, where if you do end up going to late game, you have something stopping power. I noticed that with some of the other games that I watched where people would get the late game and they were kind of drawing dead because the other person had cards that could be built up through anchored or through putting them to sleep. And those cards then became kind of a problem for them. Some of the other cards that I was running within this was this. As I said, I'm looking at things that gain boost. So Magic Beans, it's going to gain a boost. This right here, I was just simply using this for this ability right here. You control gain 1 boost. So back again, the boost that we're looking at. This was more of in my mind, a support card simply due to the fact of this, with gaining a sleep. And so if I needed that, if you look at this, I did that same thing twice. If I needed it to put something to sleep, I had that option. This right here was more of just a counter against them, the Jack Frost, due to the fact that I can exhaust the target card in reserve. So I was looking at this as, hey, if I need to counter something in their reserve, then I could go ahead and get it, do that. This card right here, I had to actually use this when the person I was playing against, they were really strong in water, but they were really weak in forest. And so because of that, this card right here actually stopped somebody from advancing simply because I had them beat except in this, or I had them beat, but they had me beat in everywhere else. And then I ran Scrooge, just a 3. And like I said, due to the stats, it was simply due to the stats of a cheap 3 cost. And then this one right here, Repotter Otter, just being able to get a card in my reserve if I needed to get something out in the reserve for whatever reason. I wanted to be able to have that. Plus, it's not the stats aren't horrible with it being a 4, 4/4. So that's kind of my deck. That's what I ran. As I said, I was trying to get the best combination of cards that would work. Yet again, like if you look at this card, it's going to boost. And so this card right here, if you get this, and then you combine it with, Persephone. If you get this card and then get this card, now you boost this. And so having these two being able to boost off each other to where I played this card first, Persephone, and then I boost it with this. And so then yet again, like as I said, I'm focusing on boost so that I can target my hero ability. Every turn, I want to target my hero ability every turn. Next is I want to get the most combinations I can and have the most options. I don't want to get in a spot where I don't have an option, and also I don't want to pay a lot of high resource cards. If you look at the cards that I have in my hand, I'm only running 2 cards that cost 4 or more. The rest are 3 and below. All out of 30 cards with 1 hero, so there's 29. I was really focused in on keeping that cost low so that I had it, yet again, options. To me, this game is all about options. I said it earlier and I'll say it again. If you're going to be good at this game, you got to have options, but also you got to have stopping power. That to me is what's important. Some of you may agree, some of you may not, but stopping power and options and the combinations, those 3 things have to be a priority. Now, this is the other cards that I had to choose from. As I said, and you're going to see with these cards that I could have added them, but and you could have made an argument for some of these, like this one. Maybe I add this instead of just running the one. But for me, I was trying to really keep it at that 30 card limit. I didn't want to go over 30 cards. That's the minimum. I know that you could have ran more, and some people did. I just wanted to be able to cycle my deck and have the best shot at getting, especially when you have like only one of these. Like I only ran one. So I'm hoping that I can get this card, and if I don't get it, at least I can cycle through my deck and possibly get it. So these are some of the other cards I got. Obviously, I'm not going to run anything other than the 3 factions that I was already running. If it wasn't part of those 3 factions, then automatically those cards were out. But I got stuck with them through drafting or whatever the case may be. Uh, I just was given them and I was forced to take them. So if you look here, some of these would have been good to have. But also the other thing to mention about draft is that sometimes it's about just stopping somebody else from getting a good card too. Look at these. I could have ran these. They're obviously, but for 6 mana cost, I didn't think that it was worth it. I thought that the Snow Maiden made more sense. It was 4 instead of 6. It costs less, and it has. And I could have ran this, but because I needed to have the mana orbs, and that requirement deterred me. I don't want to. I hope that I'm not at a position where I'm at 8. I'm hoping that I draw this. So I wanted to be able to. That takes up a slot for no reason for me. And as I said, I'm focusing on what I can get. If I can't get anything that helps my deck, then I'm going to focus on the best card that could help somebody else's deck. And that could be this card. I saw someone use this running 3 of these. Or something like this. Break the ice. So I'm looking at cards as, if I can't get anything that helps me, then I'm going to try to stop somebody else from getting a good card that could potentially hurt me in the future. So when I'm going through this, but yeah, like this one right here, I did not want, this was a card where I think this was maybe the 3rd pack, and I knew that I was not running this faction, but I didn't want someone to get this because this was the best card in the pack that I got. And so I have first pick, and I personally think that this has a lot of, for me, this is a very powerful card simply because you can resupply. So you can constantly resupply. And then I didn't know what everybody else was running. And so I was thinking, I don't want them to constantly resupply and move through their deck, especially the fact that this does not go away. And so, as you can see here, I got another hero card. I got another Snow Maiden. I end up just getting one that was, 2 rares instead of having to run the common. yeah, that was all the cards that I drafted and that I got. As I said, that was my strategy and kind of my mindset of why I selected each one. I really wanted to maximize the combinations and get the best draw power out of it as well. And that's a wrap on my first Trial by Frost draft victory. It was an intense ride, but every decision, every play, and every bit of strategy paid off in the end. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more TCG content, whether it's gameplay, strategy, or epic wins, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what your go-to draft strategy is, and if you've had a clutch moment in a tournament. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.